Hey, 49er fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Chat Sports. Well, what do you know? San Francisco, another loss today. Obviously, you watched the game. Just getting this video up here late on a Sunday night. A brutal 37-27 loss to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, we're going to break down the full game here in just a second. But first, let me just say this. I'm going to go glass half full because Seattle's a really good football team. And we need to understand just how good Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf and the entire group is. We'll talk about this here in just a second. But this is a good football team. The 49ers battled back in the second half. We'll talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, don't worry. But still, I think we can at least hang our hats on the fact that San Francisco is not far away from being the same caliber as the Seahawks. Now, give me your one-word reaction to the 49ers loss down below in the comment section. I want one word down below. I gotta think about what my word is gonna be, but I want to see what you guys think in the comment section down below. All right, let's start quickly with Jimmy Garoppolo. Obviously, the ankle continued to flare up here as he was benched in the second half there for Nick Mullins, and you can just tell he's not 100%. Now, there will be a lot of people, and I'm sure I'll see the comments on this video, who obviously think that, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo stinks, he's terrible. Obviously, they were better with Nick Mullins. Guys, if Garoppolo was healthy, if he was 100%, this would not be an issue. You saw him on the sideline. They panned the camera over to him, and he can barely walk. The ankle is still flaring up, and I think it's not necessarily a Jimmy Garoppolo stinks problem. It's the 49ers are probably going to be without Jimmy Garoppolo for a while if that ankle continues to flare up. You remember the high ankle sprain a couple of weeks ago. He missed the 2 games, the Jets, the Giants, and then, of course, the Philadelphia game as well. I think this is a greater problem instead of just the idea that Jimmy Garoppolo is this terrible, awful player. Also, George Kittle, he limped off. We'll know the extent of the Kittle injury probably a little bit later on in the week. We'll have full updates for you guys here, of course, at Chat Sports. The Niners are banged up. Like, what do you want me to say? The Niners have been a banged-up team all year long. It's definitely been a war of attrition. And even though the backups have played well at times, still, when you obviously lose Jimmy Garoppolo, you lose George Kittle, these are issues that are hard to overcome, and you saw that today in the 37-27 loss. Kittle was basically a non-factor also in this game early on, so maybe his injury was lingering, or he has a brand new knee thing. We'll find out more, obviously, this week. How about some more injury stuff? Tevin Coleman, he left the game with the knee injury, did not return. I mean, the 49ers have been obliterated with running back injuries, with running back issues. I thought that Hasty came in and did some things well. I mean, some short yards. The rushing touchdown looked really good. But it's very, very clear the 49ers absolutely are obliterated with injuries and definitely missed Raheem Mostert. Mostert is a massive part of this offense. And there's a reason why he wanted money in the offseason, because he knew the offense runs through Raheem Mostert. When he's not out there, McKinnon is not enough to go ahead and get it done. Hasty is not enough. And now that Coleman back on the bench, probably for an extended period of time, the 49ers need to get Raheem Mostert back. And honestly, we don't know when he's going to come back because he's dealing with his own injury. What is your concern level for the 49ers injuries right now on a scale of 1 to 10? I think I'm at a 7 or an 8. I think right now, if Garoppolo misses an extended period of time, and now Kittle misses as well, I mean, you're basically playing with an all-backup team on offense. No Debo, no Kittle, no Mostert, no Coleman. I mean, the injuries are absolutely ridiculous right now. So my concern level is probably an 8 or a 9 right now, but I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments section. One final thing here quickly, Jimmy Ward was active in this game. Obviously, he did play. He was questionable entering the game, but did play, and so it's good to see him back out there. The secondary was a whole other issue, which we're going to talk about here in 1 second, but at least Ward was out there because, of course, Tart and him have been dealing with some injuries over the past couple of games. Now, before I dig into the actual game stats, we still can have you guys bet on the 49ers in future weeks. So maybe you bet against the Niners this week and won some money because Seattle won, but if you want to bet on San Francisco going forward, which I still think is a good idea, because, of course, the 49ers are not dead in the water, right? They're not a bad football team. They can still make the postseason. Bet with our friends at chatsports.com/49bet and BetUS. Use our promo code Niners125. You'll get 125% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up. Put $100 down, and they'll turn it right into $225. All right, let's start with the 49er offense. It wasn't great. I mean, and I think the rushing yardage here is the main issue. The two turnovers are one thing. You want to blame Jimmy Garoppolo, sure, go right ahead. But this is a run-first offense, especially when there's no Deebo Samuel, when Kittle gets hurt, and the offensive line is unable to protect, which is another issue we have to talk about. Running the football is the identity of a Kyle Shanahan offense. You run to set up the pass. And even though I'm a big Jimmy Garoppolo fan, even Jimmy Garoppolo has his limitations, and that's why he was able to be so successful last year, because they ran the ball so well, and then, of course, Jimmy Garoppolo can bootleg out of that and throw passes on the run, which he does a very good job of. I understand that Mullins looked good, and maybe Nick Mullins is going to be the savior in the future. I still don't see that. I still would worry about Nick Mullins, even though it looks like he's going to be the quarterback here for the next couple of weeks. Mullins did pick the offense up, but I think that there's zero indication that Jimmy Garoppolo would not have been able to do that if he had been healthy, and of course, health has been a major issue. Shout out to Brandon Ayuk. It was not looking good early in this game. He picked it up there later in the second half, almost had a 100-yard receiving game, 8 catches on 11 targets. He's been a pleasant surprise while Deebo Samuel has been out, and it goes back to this idea, if Mostert was there and Samuel was there, and then of course add Ayuk and Kittle, excuse me, this is a football team, excuse me, this is a football team that could score a lot of points if they were healthy, and obviously they are not. The real issue in this game, I'm all choked up because the 49ers lost, right? The real issue in this game, obviously, is the 49er defense. And there are a lot of problems right now in San Francisco. I will first say this. I don't blame the secondary for this loss, even though they were bad. I mean, Russell Wilson, 261 yards through the air. He threw 4 touchdowns. Russell Wilson was great, but it's Russell Wilson. It's the best quarterback right now in the National Football League. And it's DK Metcalf, who I was texting some friends today saying, guys, DK Metcalf is a top 5 wide receiver right now. He might be the best receiver in the entire NFL. It's ridiculous how this guy fell in the NFL draft. He's a stud. He's a monster. He's too big. He's too fast. His catch radius is too great. They tried Verrett on him all day. They tried Mosley on him. They moved, it was corner after corner to get their shot at Metcalf, and no one could slow him down. This guy's an absolute beast. We are witnessing the second coming of Julio Jones, and so we can blame the secondary. Secondary's banged up, right? Sherman's not back there. Obviously, Tart's not back there. Ward was there, but a little bit banged up as well. Williams, But this is a very good Seattle Seahawks offense, and so the defense from a secondary standpoint, to me, is not really the big issue. Who would you blame, or who deserves the most blame for this loss? I want to know what you guys think. For me, it's 2 things. 49er defensive line is lost without Nick Bosa. I mean, it's absolutely lost, and I think we can all agree and understand that. No D Ford, no Bosa. The pass rush is not there. Now, it's Russell Wilson. You don't get to Russell Wilson that often this year, but still, the pass rush is not there. And the offensive line for San Francisco, not protecting Jimmy Garoppolo, not being able to run the football. It's the front line. I mean, it's the battle in the trenches are where these games are won, and San Francisco completely unable to do that. And so I would go with the offensive line and the defensive line, but I want to hear from you guys here in the comments section. Okay, now, there will be a lot of panic, and I understand that, and there will be a lot of people who are upset, but the schedule is what it is in terms of it's tough. Short turnaround. Green Bay. You're probably going to have Nick Mullins at home against Green Bay. Now, Green Bay lost today. They had a chance late against the Vikings, but still gave up a ton of rushing yards to Dalvin Cook. New Orleans, to me, not necessarily a scary matchup there coming up in 2 weeks from now. I think the bye week is massive for San Francisco. The 49ers could lose their next 2 games and yet still go on a run here because they got the Rams, Buffalo, and then Washington, Dallas, Arizona, and Seattle, but they could be healthy up to that point. If Mullins is back, if Garoppolo's back, if Mostert is back, after that bye week, and Deebo Samuel is back, then your team could go ahead, this team could go ahead and make a run here, because even though to me the NFC West is probably gone, I mean, you look at what Seattle's doing, obviously the Rams lost to the Dolphins today, Cardinals didn't play, but I think the West is probably done. I think the 49ers are going to be able to challenge Seattle in the West. Still possible, but it's early. But I do think this team can still make the postseason. And I know people do not want to hear that after a loss and a tough loss to our bitter division rivals in Seattle. I get that. But at the same time, I think you have to understand what we're dealing with in San Francisco, and that is a banged-up football team, a football team that has a ton of missing people on defense, on offense, and they're just rotating bodies in there right now. JaMycal Hasty is not supposed to be the number 1 running back. This is a practice squad guy who was an undrafted free agent out of Baylor, who wasn't even the starter at Baylor. I know, I was there, right? So they have all these injuries. If they can just get healthy, big if, massive if they can get healthy, you can slide into the postseason a 7 or 6 seed, and you get there healthy, anything is possible. So we'll wait and see. It's a tough loss. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with Garoppolo going forward and the ankle. We'll have full updates here on the 49ers report, and so obviously, make sure you guys are subscribed and ready to go. And finally, I still think San Francisco has a big chance to win on Thursday night just because Green Bay, to me, a little bit overrated. That defense getting run all over. Could bet on them with our friends at BetUS. Again, chatsports.com/49bet. All right, ultimately up for today here. Want to jump on here. I know we don't do a Sunday night video, but I know tough loss. I'm there with you. We'll talk more about this as the days come by this week. Trade deadline on Tuesday. They might make a move. They might not. I don't know how today impacts that. But, of course, I appreciate you guys. But that's all the time we have for today on the 49ers Report. I'm your host, Thomas Mott, signing off. To the rest of your day.